So I'm going to do my best to keep coverage of this one under 20 minutes. Universal Digital Payments Network integrates stablecoins and CBDCs issued on the Hedera network. Chances are you may have heard this story. It's been out for a couple weeks, but I guarantee you haven't heard this story from the perspective of someone who has been studying the Universal Digital Payments Network itself for over a year. This network was launched January 20th, 2023 at the World Economic Forum event at Davos. I know because I put together an entire video covering the subject. I'll link that video under this one. In that video, we really break down what this Universal Digital Payments Network is. Why they chose to work with Hedera? It genuinely confirms the theory that I leave in the video, the theory that I leave you with in that video, that Hedera's involvement stems from the fact that one of its key players in its ecosystem created the Universal Digital Payments Network. So even though other people may have covered this story, like I said, they don't have the same context that I do, and it has gone vastly underreported. And to the point of the HBAR Foundation, I know this summer they have gone through some turbulent times, people having to fact check and verify some of the things that they post. So I took that step as well. UDPN's official Medium page also lists the story word for word with the exact same details. It includes Hedera and it includes MTech, two very important players. On top of that, they also posted it on their website. This is their official udpn.io homepage, along with a couple other events that will be very relevant in this discussion. And then for what it's worth, they did post it on their LinkedIn page, because that's that. Well, let's jump back to this press release here by the foundation. And we're going to jump into these first couple of sentences. This proof of concept was conducted by GFT and Red Date Technologies. Now, if you haven't heard of these two companies, don't worry. I didn't either prior to the Universal Digital Payments Network. But I'll tell you this, GFT is a German consulting firm dating back to 1987. They got involved with finance around 2001, picking up a subsidiary company and some technology from Deutsche Bank. They've been in the financial sector ever since. Red Date Technologies is a Chinese tech firm backed by the Chinese government. And a few years prior to the creation of the Universal Digital Payments Network, created something called the Blockchain-Based Services Network, which had the same marketing pitch of this isn't crypto-based, but it uses Ethereum-based code and Cosmos-based code and Tezos of all chains. After I share with you everything that I know about this, I'll give you my conclusion to the fact that this is a software race that we're witnessing unfold here. Simply put. All right. Now, let's continue this out here because there's only a couple pieces of information that you really need to pull from this. During the proof of concept, two custom transaction nodes connecting UDPN to the digital currency systems through a single transaction gateway for transfers, transactions, and query. Those two nodes, one was supporting stablecoins launched with Hedera Stablecoin Studio, which we've talked about a number of times, and its implications and how enterprises and large-scale payment service providers can use the studio. Then secondly, supporting CBDCs from the MTech CBDC sandbox. Now we'll save MTech for the end because that completes the triangle. And this is a triangle here. The Universal Digital Payments Network is in the middle. This press release ends with this paragraph here, enabling instant payments on the Hedera network. In summary, this is indicating that because of the successful completion of this proof of concept, Hedera, the HBAR Foundation, stand the chance to have further applications run through and be verified using Hedera technologies. Now, if that is the case, then that really adds a whole new layer to things. And I know what you're probably thinking at this point. What about the price? This not affecting the price. Why do I care? This isn't a short-term discussion. This is a long-term discussion. As I'm finna show you, this has been something that has been in the works since 2021. Really need to decide where I want it to go first. So this is a presentation, Digital Euro Association, from May of this year. This gentleman right here, Stefan Shaher, is breaking down the Universal Digital Payments Network. This thing is live. It's live. Another detail in that paragraph, they said that when the network launches. No, the network has launched, HBAR Foundation. The network has launched. And that's what's being seen in this video here. And I'll mute this a little bit, but I want you to see the app that they put on display. This was one of his colleagues. His name was Tim. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he works for DLA Piper. I'd have to verify that. Also take note of list of companies down there at the bottom. I see Circle, the European Commission, Ripple, EY, KPMG, MasterCard, Swirls Labs, Hyperledger, Casper, Deloitte, Stasis, IBM. Are you starting to understand this has deeper implications than just Hedera? The fact that Hedera was used first, that's a notch in the belt. That's definitely a notch in the belt. They need to be given credit for that. What this represents to me, and you can see here him explaining, as a matter of fact, I'm going to unmute this part because I want you guys to hear this.
Deposit system, retail CBDC systems, wholesale CBDC systems. Here's an example of a wholesale CBDC system. So this is looking at it from a central bank perspective. So as a central bank, you look at the balances. You look at commercial banks that you've onboarded onto your system. You can provide permissioned access to multiple commercial banks. And then here you can also see, as Stefan mentioned, we built in use cases. So in the initial version that we launched actually today, there are 3 use cases built in. This is an example of a PVP transfer, in this case using tokenized deposit. So we will every month build in additional use cases, and banks and central banks have the ability to actually build their own use cases in the sandbox environment using the currency systems that we've integrated.
Now, on top of that, a couple more names here at the bottom: Bank for International Settlements, International Monetary Fund. The difference between this and a regular run-of-the-mill meme coin is that it would have taken them years to come up with just a wallet. They've already developed an entire back office for any commercial bank, any central bank, to create a digital dollar. Not just CBDC, not just stablecoin, but any form of digital dollar. Don't believe me? This digital currency sandbox that he was just displaying, in their press release, this was back in June when this came out. Listen to how they describe this thing. UDPN's innovative solutions, tokenized deposit, stablecoin management system, and digital asset tokenization system provide comprehensive, ready-to-deploy digital currency and asset systems which can be installed in a bank or a stablecoin operator's on-premises or cloud environment. Stablecoin operator, I saw Circle attending that event, granting institutions full data sovereignty and the flexibility to choose their underlying infrastructure and deploy digital currencies or assets on any public or private blockchain. This gives them the ability to issue their own currencies or assets on any public or private blockchain. Now, you may not still understand how deep that is. Let's go back to the founding members of the UDPN. Of course, we have GFT. This is the German tech firm, got their start in 1987. There was a deal in 2001 where they picked up a subsidiary from Deutsche Bank. Can't recall the name of the subsidiary, but it introduced them into the world of financial IT services, and they've been on a run ever since. And I find it to be very funny that one of the first companies to complete a proof of concept with their new payment software was Deutsche Bank. The other company involved here, Red Date Technologies, Chinese tech firm backed by members of the Chinese government. Wouldn't you know it, this company, Red Date Technologies, headquartered in Hong Kong, dedicated to building next-generation public IT system infrastructures for internet communications, digital economies, and digital payments. The next institution to test a proof of concept with the UDPN, Bank of East Asia, tests stablecoin issuance. Hong Kong's Bank of East Asia. Now, the addition of Hedera brings in the U.S. narrative, and the addition of MTech also brings in the U.S. narrative, because now they want to see MTech's CBDC solution and how it plugs in to theirs. Why is that so interesting? Well, you see, MTech and Hedera have a pretty interesting relationship. And I want to pull it up here because there was one thing mentioned in this press release that I think we all overlooked. We did. October 8th, 2021. Interesting how that all lined up, right? Today's the 9th. But I'm going to scroll down here. And let's zoom in a bit so that way you can see this as well. Now, MTech's private CBDC platform will look to leverage the fast, fair, and secure hashgraph consensus algorithm, which provides a census Byzantine fault tolerance ordering service within and between each network. This is leveraging their private CBDC platform that ultimately evolved from here to their current CBDC sandbox offering incorporated hashgraph consensus. Going down further, MTech's sandbox platform will offer the Hedera token service and HCS for various innovators once launched. What makes this so impactful, especially for the US part, is because one of the heads of the project for MTech, Caramel Cadet, I believe she's the CEO, but a lot of things have changed. Other people have come in. I wanted to verify that as being a fact. I'll tell you this, though. The first time we heard about MTech's CBDC technology here in the States was through a project funded by the Digital Dollar Project. And you can see here they launched a technical sandbox to explore central bank digital currency infrastructure solutions. This included participants Digital Asset, MTech, Knox Networks, and Ripple. Ripple was also at that Digital Euro Association presentation. So, Hedera may be first. Don't be surprised if Ripple is next. And in that conversation, just a real quick segue, don't look for Ripple, the company, necessarily. Look for the XRP ledger to be integrated with the UDPN, much like Hedera was. There was a portion of their software plugged in. That's what I would look for. Now, MTech, CBDC project, Digital Dollar Project, that's how we initially got to this. When you look at who's behind the Digital Dollar Project, this is the organization spearheading the U.S. transition to the digital dollar. So, with the bringing in and testing of MTech's CBDC sandbox, what you do is you open the means of communication for these softwares to be exchanged. The goal is to create an interoperable network, something that spans borders here. So the question that I am ultimately left with after taking in all of this information, because when you really go back in time, MTech 2020, December 14th, debuts tech to streamline central banking. This particularly doesn't discuss Hedera, but what it talks about is its central bank digital currency sandbox and what it was intended to do and really what it represents. The conclusion that I have now is that these assets that we are invested in are attached to softwares, programs, applications that are, as it stands right now, being traded real time on their own market. You got to understand, it's like early days of the internet and the operating system wars. What was it? Windows, Google, or Windows and Apple. When you were building early websites or early internet-based applications, there was a fight between which operating system you wanted to use because of which one was better than the other. Years would go by, we found out which ones reigned supreme. The same process is playing out here. And it was the Universal Digital Payments Network, my study of this network, that showed me that. Initially, what made me turn away from it was an interview by one of their representatives and how he vehemently came at crypto. He said, I really want us to understand that this is not involving crypto. What he was trying to get me and others in that room to understand is that it's not crypto we need, it's blockchain. And we're coming out with the ultimate software tool to connect all blockchain networks. We'll even allow traditional non-blockchain networks to connect to these blockchain networks. And we're going to roll it out for free. I was going to say that they're going to give it away, but we jump back over to this presentation. They explicitly show us, nah, son, this going to cost y'all some money, which is another element here that you need to be aware of. They got money behind them. And that's the biggest difference. That's what separates this from a traditional crypto project. Just to clarify, this isn't a new token that's going to be running in collaboration with Hedera. This isn't Hedera launching on this Universal Digital Payments Network. This is a relationship that Hedera has just established with a key software provider in the digital transformation, in the digital payments transformation. Through this relationship, they will now be able to network with the other companies that are likely to begin working with this same software provider. That is what we're looking at here. So again, I was able to condense this in under 20 minutes. So give me credit for that. Hit the like button for that. Let me know what you think. If you think I am off the wall, let me know down in the comments. But the deeper you look into this, the more you'll understand that this does change the payments landscape, because now there is a universal software that a bank can pick up tomorrow and start incorporating public and private blockchain networks through the Universal Digital Payments Network. Everyone is trying to figure out who Satoshi Nakamoto is right now. But the next great digital payments, peer-to-peer payment system was just born. Simply put. So with that, guys, I've been in this space since 2019. I've studied over 1,000 digital currencies, and I've used over dozens of crypto-related tools. And in the pinned comment, you'll find the 3 that I use the most. And I do want to let you know, a couple of those are affiliate links, so I do get compensated if you decide to use one of the services. I want to thank you in advance. With that, you know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.